Hi everyone, welcome back to making a Pokemon save editor in C. This is part 14. I have just spent about an hour and a half recording myself coding and solving the problem that we left off with in the previous part, which was that our save data is not being loaded correctly, or it's not being decrypted properly. I have now fixed that problem. I spent some time looking at this on lunch breaks at work. I kind of had this idea, well, if we can actually validate our decrypted data, the internal Pokemon data here, because we already know the species of Pokemon we're looking for. It's our Squirtle. So Squirtle's index number is 7. I don't have the Pokedex open, or maybe I do. No, I don't. I have so many tabs open, but Squirtle's Pokemon index number is 7. So if we have a 7 in our decrypted data, that means that we probably have something. Well, that is the species marker. So it can tell us that we've decrypted our data correctly, and it also tells us where Squirtle's species data is stored in that 48-byte structure. And then I was like, well, the next option is item held. So I went in and gave Squirtle a held item, which was a potion. It's the potion from the PC, from the item PC that you have at the very start of the game. And potions code is 0D, so I thought, oh, well, if 0D is in the decrypted data, then we have it. And I kind of used that as the basis for the episode I just recorded. But at the very beginning of the episode, I coughed, and I muted my mic to do so. And I forgot to unmute my mic, and I spent the next hour plus coding completely muted. Just no sound coming through. So that was fantastic. But I think it may be for the best anyway, because it was a lot of silence and me just kind of umming and ahhing over how to solve the problem. My major issue was that our predetermined save structure, or rather our kind of predefined type, which abstracts these growth, attacks, EVs, miscellaneous blocks, these 12-byte blocks, was clearly wrong. So species was a crazy number. Item held was like some massive number. We were clearly loading it wrong. And the reason why is because we were loading the Pokemon data wrong, because I had set MISC flags, which should be an unsigned 8-bit integer, or an unsigned car, to... What the hell happened there? What have I done? What? Yeah. I made a custom structure for this and accidentally set everything inside it, even though they are, 1 bit, to be unsigned car. So Pokemon was much bigger than it should have been. It's an 80-byte structure. This is now 80 bytes. The other stuff that we see here, so everything after data is actually inferred in the game itself. So level is based on some of this protected data, which is XP, and so on. So that's kind of so a level is calculated from a Pokemon's total XP. I guess it's leveling difficulty based on its species and so on. So in the save file, we only need this data as well. So things like male and current stats, they're all inferred from data in here. So that was another issue that we resolved. This determining the order of the substructures and using an enum to do that, that's all correct. So I've also gone through and fixed that as well. And that's about it, to be honest. So now, if we run our file and we give our Pokemon a new nickname, for example, when we look at our variable called decrypted, it looks very sensible now. So what we were having before were things like this 8ECF was kind of all over the place, and we were seeing it outside of the data in the Pokemon structure, which was wrong. And we were just getting like crazy values for some of the Pokemon data here. But now, if we actually dive into Decrypted and we look at things like the growth block, species is 7. 7 is Squirtle. Held item is D. Also, I figured out how to show hex values in the debugger. D is a potion. That's our held item. So this is all definitely correct now. Everything lines up. I made some notes of the information that we can actually identify from the decrypted data, assuming the decrypted data was correct. So I was looking at these bytes and trying to find a pattern in them. So I figured that when we were looking at just the straight up data like this, the decrypted data, even though I was mistakenly thinking it was this, for example, or better yet, this, I was thinking, well, oh, there's an 07 in there, so that has to be Squirtle, for example. And then I saw, oh, there's a 2-1, what's that? And we figured out that it's Tackle. So we kind of reverse engineered this, but really the biggest thing that took me far too long to realize was that we don't want this structure here, or rather we can use it, but we don't want unsigned characters. They need to be much more granular than that. These are literal bits that we're setting. So yeah. What else is there? I think that's it. Now that we've cracked the code and we actually have like a sensible looking structure that we can modify, the next step, and I added this as a to-do, is to calculate the new Pokemon checksum properly, because if we ignore new checksum, if we look at Squirtle's checksum right here, it is 8A54, but our calculated one is 4D4D, which is wrong. So either this implementation is wrong, or we've gone wrong somewhere. But either way, we can figure it out, and that's that. That is basically a summary of everything that happened in the previous episode. I'm really annoyed because it took a lot of kind of brain power, and maybe that would have been interesting to some people, but I thought I would give you a run through of what we've done instead, to kind of make up for the fact that I could show you the 1.5 hour episode, but it would have none of me talking whatsoever, none of the nice like typing noises, so it would be kind of pointless to upload that. So here's a retrospective explanation of everything that happened. We're in a much better position now to actually start modifying Pokemon data, which is a really big win. And I think that's it. So next episode, we'll try and calculate the new checksum properly. We'll try and figure out where we might be going wrong. And once we do that, and once we know how to recalculate that, there's no reason why we can't start manipulating Pokemon data and then writing that back into our save file. So that's the plan. Thank you for your patience. I've also noticed I've been getting some comments lately. They've all been very nice and friendly, so Hello to you if you've left a comment. I really didn't expect anyone to be watching these videos, so it's kind of cool that there are people watching and people who are saying, this makes me want to learn C, or this is like super nostalgic, or the people who've given me programming tips as well. I appreciate it a lot. And I just hope you find it entertaining, or if nothing else, amusing when you see me getting stuff wrong. I can't really think of anything else to say, so I think I will leave it there. I promise it will be a longer part next time, and it will have all of the lovely sounds of me saying every 2 seconds, and much more like clicks and clacks of the keyboard. All right, I will leave it there. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Thank you. Bye bye.